What's up, y'all? Welcome to another episode of the Geek Out Room podcast. Don't forget you can watch our episodes over on the Sauce Entertainment YouTube channel. And you can listen to our episodes over on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Just type in Geek Out Room podcast and you should find us. I apologize for the not having episodes for a while. I caught the flu, so I was out for like 2.5 weeks. Still have a little bit of a cough, so if you hear me cough, I apologize in advance. But I'm back, feeling way better than ever before. And we're here to talk about the MCU, the outrage, the division. Like, is MCU back or not? Let's lock in. So, Avengers Doomsday is coming. December 16th, 2026, I believe. Spider-Man Brand New Day is coming before that. Forgot when that's coming out. But there's not really that much hype. And before we can really get to this really weird marketing strategy they're doing for Doomsday, we have to start with why the hype is not here. Because it's not just about right now. It started back in 2020. Late 2019, early 2020. So, first thing first, and this is really just my opinion anyway, is too much content. Alright, you have the Disney Plus shows. Miss Marvel, Ironheart, She-Hulk, Moon Knight, Secret Invasion, Falcon the Winter Soldier, and I'm probably forgetting like one or two others, right? Then you have MCU movies that don't matter. They're just bad movies, bad script, terrible execution. And then you have lack of world building, right? You have all these movies and films and TV shows coming out, but nothing feels cohesive. All right, there's nothing that feels like I can follow along and it makes sense or it's an enjoyable watch or enjoyable ride. All right, because the problem has never been successful doing tie-ins. Early 2000s did with video games to movies, terrible idea. TV shows to movies, terrible idea. Like, the issue about doing this world building is that there's no main character to really follow their stories and journey. For Iron Man 1 through Endgame, there were two main characters. Or one, if you really want to say it. Iron Man. He started it, ended it in a way. You followed Tony's journey. Tony had a lot of character development from Iron Man 1 to Endgame. Okay? All these callbacks, all these major moments led to his death in Endgame being what it was. All right? If you really want to say that the MCU had two main characters, you could say Steve Rogers as well. And he had a lot of development himself, not as much as Tony Stark in my opinion, but he had a lot of growth, a lot of emotions, a lot of moments. All right? And it led to him wanting to pass on the mental cap to Sam, why the moment was so iconic and cool, and why we all cheered when he was having that dance with Peggy finally. Okay, hey, Steve in the first Avengers with Tony, take off the suit. What are you? Or hey, you're no hero. All right, and it could have ended with him doing the sacrifice play. Like, he's not gonna do the sacrifice play. Well, he did it in Avengers. It could have just been that. But no, it followed all the way through to Endgame. And we had Captain America Civil War, or Captain America, the first Avenger, Captain America Winter Soldier, Captain America Civil War. All those movies led into another one, right? For Cap's story. And then Cap's story and Winter Soldier had his story with, it was his story, but it also snuck in some lore for Tony and tie Tony into his story, more than already with the Avengers, but tie into Cap's personal journey, which exploded in Captain America Civil War. All right? And you saw that division. That division led to the Avengers being able to be beaten more easily because they were divided in Avengers Infinity War. They were able to beat Thanos coming together in Avengers Endgame, and a lot of other stuff happened in between, of course. So you had all that. That's brilliant world building, brilliant movies, brilliant execution. Don't get me wrong, there were some misses. All right, Thor: The Dark World. People still pretend like that movie doesn't exist. All right, a lot of people were iffy on Captain America: The First Avenger. I love it, but a lot of people were iffy. People disliked Iron Man 3. I know why. I wasn't a huge fan of it. Thoroughly enjoyed it still. Not nearly as much as 1 or 2, but enjoyed it. And I'm trying to think of some others, but there's some misses. For sure. Like some agreed upon misses in the fandom, for sure. But not like how it is now. All right? Now it's just there's more bad and slop than good. All right? Bad movies. I have it listed. The Marvels. Captain America Brave New World. Eternals, depending on who you are. I wouldn't say it's a terrible movie. Just a terrible movie for what they're trying to build. Right? Because I feel like Eternals would have been a better movie if they planned it better. Because it just felt like there was no need for that film. The Eternals didn't add anything to the phase. It didn't add anything that was necessary or needed. I felt like they were a cast of characters that they're going to retcon out of the MCU. Because they're too OP. And I feel like they're not going to do anything with that part of that. Those cosmic beings, like that whole, all that stuff. I don't think they're going to play too much into. They may with the Fantastic Four, but in terms of the greater part of the MCU, I just don't feel like there's a place for them. Especially if your next go-to after Doomsday and stuff's going to be focusing more on mutants, X-Men, and that whole situation. There's no space for Eternals, in my opinion, and their whole mythos. I just don't feel like people are like hungry for Eternals 2. I don't see that happening. So that's what I mean by a bad movie when it comes to at least the Eternals. And Ant-Man Quantumania was stupid. And I helped promote that movie with partnership with Marvel. So I'm telling you right now, you can't have King the Conqueror be who King the Conqueror is and be what he was supposed to be, despite Jonathan Major's legal problems. That did not matter into the writing and execution of this film. It was so bad. Such a dumb thing to have Ant-Man beat Kang. I can understand it was like a lesser version of Kang, but there was like better and more other versions or something like that, right? Like you beat one, another one comes, which is what they're trying to do. But the problem is, in the movie, they built this Kang up to be one of the worst versions of Kang, right? The council banished this man, but you had Ant-Man beat him. That's kind of insane. That was dumb. Again, bad movies or piss poor execution. You can't have it. You can't have it. Or you have what I wrote here, good movies, but there's bad faith with your fan base now. Right? Now, this is kind of too early to say this maybe, but now it's kind of bad faith now. Shang-Chi was an amazing movie. We haven't seen him or anything to do with the characters in that film in 6 years. That's just stupid. Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, despite all the production issues with that thing, I thought Sam Raimi made an amazing film. I thought he did the best he could. I liked the film. I thought it was a cool film. Was there so much more that could have done with it? Yes. And that's what I mean. Good movie, bad faith. It's the Multiverse of Madness. They really didn't explore the multiverse aspect of it very well. And they could have. And I don't think there's a better character to do that with than Doctor Strange. I thought you could have really made it very interesting. Made him visit other Earths. Again, not something crazy with a lot. Like, he could have visited, I don't know if they had to deal with the X-Men yet at the time, but if they did, visit the X-Men universe. Oh, no, they did, because Professor X was in that film. Dude, visit the X-Men universe. If you want to have only Professor X in it, cool. Have him go to the school. Interact with Professor X. One of the X-Men if you could. Whatever. But just something. And then go through other multiverses where you have Black Bolt. You have, I don't know. Just something a little bit more multiversey. This felt like he just went to one other multiverse. And that's it. And it didn't really feel like a great adventure throughout the multiverse. And again, a lot of production issues. I know COVID, like a lot of stuff went wrong with that film and the production of that film. So the fact that you even got it done and out was a miracle. Still liked it. But again, bad faith. Thunderbolts. Good movie. Bad faith. Bad faith. If you would have had proper execution earlier on in these phases after Endgame and then introduce a Thunderbolts movie, it could have worked to your favor. Because I know what they were trying to do with this Thunderbolts film. It's a good film. It really is. It's a fun one. And I would love to see the new Avengers 2 or Thunderbolts 2. Like I would love to see that. I actually think these cast of characters work very well together, and they could have these fun, quirky missions together. But because you operating off of bad faith with your fan base, you are where you are now, and Thunderbolts doesn't do that well because people are just burnt out and don't really care. They just don't. Because again, whose journey are we following? This is something that's really important, at least to me, when it comes to movies versus TV shows. To me, TV shows is about the journey, all right? You follow a character or character's journey throughout their life or wherever the thing is, right? For like, you do like Even Steven or some of these shows where like the kids are going through school. Part of the journey is like them going through school, them going through the journey of coming of age, of being getting into adulthood, all this stuff. You're following a character's journey. A movie is a moment in a character. It could be a moment in a character or character's life or lives. All right, like that. That's how I see it. And yeah, you could have a journey, but the journey in the movie is the MCU. Like Cap's journey in the MCU is all those different moments put together from these movies. These movies are certain moments in Cap's life or certain moments in Iron Man's life. And the journey is the MCU, is the 10 years building up from Iron Man 1 to Endgame. It's all of that. All right, so that's a really important distinction to me, because when you blur the lines for that, it's an issue. It's a big issue. And I think that you bring it to like Deadpool and Wolverine. I did not like it as much as many people did. I thought it was a movie with a lot of holes, a movie that made no sense, and was made for the sake of, we need a win. I can never blame the studio for doing that, but that's not what the MCU is supposed to be. Because you had the whole thing. The TVA existence at all doesn't make sense. We're going to get into that in a second. The TVA's existence is annoying. Because it's just annoying. Because when you create something like the TVA, it's always, where were they? Just like Eternals. Where were they? Why didn't they act on X, Y, and Z? Why right now you're just building it for convenience. It doesn't make any sense. 2, you have Wolverine and you build it up where it's like, oh, this Wolverine failed his world. He failed his universe and he did it. I was expecting something a little more intense. Logan, aka Wolverine, is one of the most tragic characters in the MCU. A lot of messed up things happen to this dude. A lot. I mean, I forgot which issue and which comic. There's a comic or issue where, I think it was after House of M or something, where he gains his memory back, like all his memory back. And he goes on this absolute tear. And to the point where the Avengers and all the world's governments are like, why is Wolverine doing this shit? And someone's like, oh, it's because he remembered, or I think it was Emma Frost was like, he remembers everything. And it makes every single government in the world simultaneously, before she can even finish her sentence, destroy everything. Destroy all their facilities. Like, they're that scared of this dude. They are that scared of his war path he's on right now, bro. That's who Wolverine is. So when you say he failed or something tragic happened to him, you gotta bring something heavy. You have to. He's lived for so long, so much tragedy, so much internal grief. It's gotta be something heavy. I just feel like they just gave such a lackluster reason that didn't really make sense. The villain was super, super like she nothing. It was just too unserious. It's a Deadpool film, so that's the tonal issues comes with that. You have Wolverine and Deadpool, which I'm not saying they're not good together, but it just the movie felt really lackluster. And I feel like it was supposed to introduce all this multiverse stuff, just like the Multiverse of Madness, or just like the Spider-Man film, No Way Home. And none of it really added to this multiverse situation. It just felt eh. Now, granted, again, I know when it comes to the main character thing, going back to that for a second, Chadwick Boseman passed away. Jonathan Majors' legal issues. A lot, like, I get it. So I don't know if they're going to make Black Panther the main character, focus on the MCU, funnel the MCU through him and Wakanda. I know with Sony, and I know it's hard to be like, hey, let's run it through Peter Parker / Spider-Man, but because of this contractual obligation we have with Sony, it can be kind of dangerous to pin all the MCU through him when we don't fully own him, if that makes sense, and his entire Rogues Gallery. I get that, but man, it's getting wicked out here. MCU's getting wicked. It's getting wicked. I think you have to just funnel the MCU through and get Spider-Man to the point where Spider-Man is insanely popular, but can Peter Parker / like how they've written, like how it's going, can they funnel the MCU through him like they did Cap and Iron Man? No, because they are Avengers and they work in the public. They work so differently compared to how Spider-Man operates, compared to how Black Panther operates. Like it's hard to funnel the MCU through those characters like you could have Steve Rogers and Tony Stark, which is why killing them off or removing them from the MCU was dumb / a very difficult choice, I'm sure. And that's why they had to bring them back for Doomsday, because man, it's been boring without them. It's been soulless without them. They are so important to what makes the MCU so good. Not only because Robert Downey Jr. and Chris Evans are amazing actors and were born to play these two roles, but because their stories were so well written and interesting. And they elevate all the other cast of characters. And I get it. Tony Stark and Steve Rogers had great beginning, middle, ends to their story in the MCU. If you had, if the MCU has to die. But not having those two characters, it makes this world really boring. Even when you pass the mantle off to Sam Wilson, you fumbled Sam's character. You fumbled his time as Captain America. Sam's armor and shit, he has so many powers to the point where he should have just taken this super soldier serum. There was no point in having him have all this, bro, just give him superpowers. Just give the brother superpowers, man. Just do. You have to. It was so weird. And then you dust off what was, I'm sure, supposed to be a Hulk 2 script or something, and you just say, oh, because Universal, we can't do it, so let's just erase every line that had Hulk's name. You wrote Captain America, and you put him in there. Terrible idea, made no sense, very stupid. Captain America and the Winter Soldier should have been, or Falcon and the Winter Soldier should have been the first movie. It should not have been a Disney Plus show. Should have been the first movie for Sam's character, because it was a moment in Sam's overall journey as Captain America, and it would have worked as a movie. That's going back to that moment versus journey aspect. It would have been better to record that moment in Sam's life as just a moment, and then have the second movie be something way better. Okay, enough with this every Winter Soldier, Falcon Winter Soldier, Brave New World. You're not Captain America. You're not Steve Rogers. Like, oh, you're black. You can't be. Enough. Enough, bro. And they imprison Bradley one more time. I'm gonna slap somebody. So yeah, that the full mode Captain America, the full mode was supposed to be the new leader for whatever this Avenger team was supposed to look like. All right, and it's just no one. So I say all that to say, going back to Doomsday, no one's invested in Doomsday. All right, no one. They've been introduced X-Men and mutants into the MCU. No one cares, or some people don't even know that Beast was at the post-credit scene for the Marvels because no one saw the movie. No one liked it. People walked out. No one cared. All right, you have Professor Xavier and Doctor Strange Multiverse Madness. Iffy. Now you're doing this promotional promo for Doomsday where you linked these a bunch of trailers you're going to show every week or whatever with Avatar that not everyone's going to go see. All right. And you also live in the digital age of social media where these trailers can be leaked online anyway. So everyone either saw the descriptions of these trailers or saw it in very piss poor quality. All right. Then you release at the end of the week and no one really cares because everyone already saw it. And not in the best 4K quality. All right? Okay? It's stupid. It's dumb. Just release the trailers online or wait. You could have done the same thing online every week. You've been like, hey, for 5 weeks straight, we're going to show a new teaser trailer every week leading up to the full trailer. Right? You have 5 independent trailers to introduce, hey, Steve Rogers coming back. Hey, Thor's coming back. Hey, Fantastic Four or whatever. Just all these things. And then you release one cohesive minute and 10-second or whatever trailer that gets people really hyped. And then you're like, but wait, there's more. Another one. Here's a Spider-Man Brand New Day trailer. You forgot? You remember that? That's going before Doomsday is his own thing. Here's that. You know why? Because Daredevil Born Again was amazing and people were hyped about that and hyped about the Punisher. And he's in this. Bruce is in this. And because you're doing this Cloak and Dagger thing like it's 2008, all right? And like we're going to hear about these trailers if we didn't go see it. It's in the newspaper. Okay? Now you have people making AI trailers because y'all are taking forever to release a shit that everyone already saw. Stupid. Fumble. Stupid. Stupid. The MCU, man, it's in dire mess. It's in dire mess, bro. Dire mess. And there's no hype. All right, because you introduce Moon Knight, which I thought was a great series, and it just doesn't matter. All right, because it just takes you forever. If you do Moon Knight, if you do see, and that's where Disney Plus should have come in with series. You do Moon Knight series, you do a Ghost Rider series, you do a Blade series or movie or whatever, or you do all those series. And then you tie it into the movies with Blade, or you have Blade do as a movie because Blade deserves a movie or series, and then you introduce all of them into like a Midnight Suns film. Because again, journey versus moment. Midnight Suns is a crossover. That's a moment in all these characters' journeys, and that's where you do a movie. All right, and you're like, hey, you watched all this. We get paid off with a moment, a cinematic moment, Midnight Suns, where they're here to do a moment because they're here for a particular task, and they go about their lives. Again, Avengers, a moment. All right? Various moments in these characters' journeys. There we go. And I just, the hype's not there. All right, then you have X-Men. The hype's not really there because you have the X-Men animated series, X-Men 97. Phenomenal. Knocked out of the park. People are excited about that because that is the best iteration for the X-Men we've seen in decades. In decades. And X-Men is so hard because there's so many characters that are not Wolverine that deserve shine like they did, that like Fox has given Wolverine for the past 20 years. All right? And it's hard to make a film where you can balance all this stuff. It's just hard. X-Men works tremendously better, just like Star Wars in a way, works better as TV series than movies because there's so much lore and there's such a great journey to experience with these characters, where having it in a movie form as a moment doesn't always work as well. It can absolutely work. It's just very hard. And Marvel does not have the cachet of goodwill on their side to make terrible X-Men movies. They just don't. And I'm sorry, Fantastic Four was pretty lackluster. It wasn't bad, but it wasn't great. It wasn't great. And part of it, F1 and Superman that were released right next to were pretty fucking good. Pretty fucking good. It's hard to do an ensemble movie. It just is. Now, luckily, the Russo brothers are phenomenal, in my opinion, at adapting from a source material to a film, in my opinion. And they're really good at ensemble pieces. They're good at juggling multiple characters with multiple different personalities and different journeys and bring them together for a cinematic moment. They're very good at that. To me, that's their wheelhouse. And Marvel did the right thing, getting them back by any cost. Getting Chris Evans back and Robert Downey Jr. back, even if he's Dr. Doom, whatever. Getting them back because they need them. They need them. They may have thought that the success was them, kind of like how every owner of a franchise acts. They're like, hey, they forget their star players are the reason why people are coming to like the butts are in seats, not because of the owners. And they forgot. Now they know. And I just don't know. I don't know about Doomsday. I'm not really hyped because I stopped caring about MCU quite a long time ago. Right now, as a muscle thing to watch it, like I'm just like, I love comic books, I love superheroes, so let me watch this. But there's no hype. It's not like what it was before. It was like, no, I have to go watch this thing. And part of it was that I was way younger when Iron Man 1 came out. It came out in 2008. It's 2026. I'm 30 years old. But I'm still a huge nerdy geek. I'm even more so than I was before. It's just the movies and shit are not good. It's not cohesive. It's too much to follow. There's so many movies and series in the MCU that I have not watched because it's just bad. And holy shit, I forgot to talk about the biggest elephant in the room. I told you it's going to be a long episode. The biggest elephant in the room. Secret Invasion. Oh my god. Such a cluster, bro. One of the biggest mistakes Marvel has ever made, in my opinion, was destroying S.H.I.E.L.D. Destroying S.H.I.E.L.D. and never getting it back was a terrible misstep. The MCU, again, moments, but an overall journey. The MCU is a journey. The movies in the MCU are all moments. And the journey, you need proper world building, which we talked about in the top of the podcast. World building. S.H.I.E.L.D. is a part of the MCU. There's such a major... They make up the fabric, the DNA of the of Marvel, not just the MCU, of Marvel. And without them, it just feels so weird. It feels so weird. S.H.I.E.L.D. is such a... Nick Fury, S.H.I.E.L.D., like all these things don't seem important at the grand scheme of it. But you feel their presence gone. Secret Invasion was super hype because people, first of all, the storyline itself, but also Nick Fury, Samuel L. Jackson. People love these two things. I did not mean to do the 6-7 meme. They love these two things. And you fumble it. Use AI shit when you knew you weren't. Like, why? That wasn't necessary. You had the money. Don't be lazy. And terrible script execution. Terrible script execution. Secret, bro. After Endgame, you could have had your Secret Invasion era. You could have had Nick Fury be like, damn, Tony's dead. I don't know what to do. This is, I feel like I lost a son. Nick Fury does what he did anyway. And then you'd be like, hey, Nick, I'm sorry to tell you, but while you were all gone, this and this and this has been happening. There's an invasion happening right now. I don't know who's who. And then you do something like you kill one of the characters, one of the Avengers, and they reveal that they're a Skrull. And then boom, now you have a new journey you're on. You're on the Secret Invasion journey. And there's moments in these movies where you don't know. Now you set the principle of who is real, who's not. All right? Who's who? What's going on? What's going on? Right? And now you have these little, and that's when you do the little post-credit scenes. Is you're setting it up. You're setting up the little misdirections, the distrust of, is that really Rhodey? Is that really Sam Wilson? Was that really Cap that went back to? There's so many cool things you could have done with Secret Invasion. But you decided to do a TV series that was trash and you killed Maria Hill. Oh, Marvel. Oh, Marvel. Man, killing Maria Hill was so stupid. So stupid. And despite how bad that series was, Samuel L. Jackson, everyone who was in it still did great performances. That's how you know that they had a actual plan in place or a proper script. It would have actually been fire. But again, you destroy S.H.I.E.L.D. Sword is random and doesn't really mean anything. No one even knows in the MCU it exists or whatever the case may be. There's no police or government agency that really makes sense in all of this. Or, hey, after Endgame, even better, so you could have had the Secret Invasion thing be a looming thing, setting that up, distrust. Then you could have had like a Dark Reign storyline where, hey, because all the Avengers were gone, or like half the Avengers were gone, and or this and that happened, Tony Stark kind of took a backseat, spent time in his log cabin with Pepper and his kid. Captain America kind of did his, whatever the fuck he was doing. All this stuff. New York City without Spider-Man. All this stuff happens. You could have introduced a lot of cool people. You could have introduced a Norman Osborn. You could have introduced some of these. You could have, hey, Wilson Fisk. Some of these things. And been like, hey, Dark Reign. When all the when Daredevil's got gone, or Spider-Man's gone, all this stuff, all these other villains rose to power. When half of humanity was gone, and people were in the darkest of times, loved ones gone, all this stuff. There's all this vacuum and opportunity. So what better than to have all these villains who are opportunists come through? And then when you have Spider-Man come back from the snap, when you have Daredevil come back from the snap, all this stuff, now they have to deal with a world that kind of moved on without them. Because you have Wilson Fisk in charge. You have Norman Osborn in charge. You just have all these people in charge. Right? And they are saying, hey, you see how peaceful we were these last couple years? All this shit we've been through? We survived it without the heroes. The heroes bring all these crazy people or all these villains that want to blow shit up and make your life harder. Screw the heroes. Anti-vigilante. See, there's so many cool things you could have done. But no. They just threw everything at the wall. Nothing stick. No plan. No map. No nothing. Now we're in an Avengers Doomsday movie where I do not care about a single lineup in this. I don't care about any of these characters, bro. We haven't seen Shang-Chi in 6 years, bro. 6. We haven't seen Spider-Man like 4 or 5. Don't get me wrong. I'm excited for a brand new day now. Don't get me wrong. But yeah, Avengers Doomsday, nah. That's why it's annoying. You're like, I have to go spend $25 to go watch an Avatar movie I don't give a shit about just so I can see this trailer? That's stupid. That's so stupid. That's so dumb. And then in the Avengers Doomsday teasers, you don't even give us Shang-Chi still, my dude. You still, bro. Oh my god. Oh my god. Do you know how hype it would have been to do a lot of these trailers with like Shang-Chi and Sam Wilson and like just characters that they've been trying to weirdly build around these last 6 years, and then you like I said, you online you release all these trailers every week, and then for the last it builds up to this final trailer where you do Avengers Doomsday, which Spider-Man's not in anyway, and then you reveal, you reveal the beginning of the trailer starts with like Thor's prayer or speech, then the end is Steve Rogers' reveal, and then you have Steve Rogers and Thor will be. Bro, where's the marketing? What are we doing? It's just so, it just feels so lazy and desperate. It feels so, that could be wrong. They got something really cool down the pipeline, but right now it just feels lazy and desperate. It doesn't feel hype. It feels weird. It feels really weird. It feels stupid. And I'm more excited about Daredevil Daredevil Born Again Season 2 than this. It just feels like I missed the mark on a lot of stuff. It feels really boring. It feels so low stake. But hopefully Avengers Doomsday puts a hype back on. I hope it's a great movie. That'll do good. Honestly, I'm okay with Old Man Cap or not even Old Man Cap. I know in the comics for a while there was like Steve Rogers acting as Steve Rogers at Captain America alongside Sam Wilson's Captain America. I'm fine with that. Chris Evans says, "Hey, I want to come back to MCU just for less movies and more of like a side character than like my main." You know what I mean? Cool, because let's be honest, man. We're not rocking with this new Cap. I'm a black man saying, bro, trust me, I wanted this to work more than anybody. But they did Sam Wilson so fucking dirty. So dirty, bro. They did him so dirty. And I loved Falcon the Winter Soldier, by the way. I just think that should have been a movie and as a moment in time. Because Brand New Day was such a Brave New World was such a terrible film, dude. And they did so much reshoots to the point where, what was the original film like? Because if this one was trash, I couldn't even imagine the original cut. So, I miss Tony Stark and Steve Rogers, man. I miss their dynamic. I miss how they butt heads. But like, there's so much great writing and appreciation and love put in those characters, whereas this batch of characters we're getting right now, it feels like they're just like, hey, let's just put a bunch of random characters on screen that don't interact with each other at all, they don't like each other or even know about each other at all, and have nothing to do with each other, and they're all terrible films individually, and then let's bring them together randomly because they're going to need to form another Avenger team just like the first one. It's just rinse and repeat, but with worse scripts. And that's really bad. That's just really bad. That's really bad. And again, having the second, like the movie, I would have put Falcon and Winter Soldier as the first movie. Second movie for Sam Wilson, I would have been like, fuck forming the Avengers. He should have been like, the world needs S.H.I.E.L.D., bro. Because the government's very corrupt. It's post-snap. Thunderbolt Ross is corrupt. There's no shield to protect against all this adamantium, like all this stuff. They just put like U.S. government. Like, no, it's supposed to, like, there needs to be a shield. There needs to be a shield. Forget sword. That's dumb. Give us shield, man. Give us shield and shield agents. Give us Phil Coulson back. Give us Maria Hill back. Like, just give us. They need to they need to retcon so much, bro. If Samuel L. Jackson as well to come back and sign up for more movies as Nick Fury. Let him run shit. Like, bring all this stuff back. Go back to your roots. Your world seems so disjointed, random, and weird. Because at least when stuff popped off, like Shield was there with the Avengers or working with the Avengers. That's what made the Avengers one so cool. That's what made Avengers Age, like, after Winter Soldier, is like all that stuff, like Shield disappearing was slowly deteriorating, but it wasn't as bad because there was so much good stuff, and they didn't really need Shield. Now they need to lean on Shield. They really do, because now it's just too random, and there's too much stuff going on. Whereas like Shield would be spearheading what's going on with Secret Invasion. They would be spearheading the Sokovia Accords, or at least be a major part of that. They would have been a major part of keeping the world together, and it would have been really cool to see Norman Osborn as the director of S.H.I.E.L.D. when Nick Fury came back. That would have been a very, very interesting, dynamic. Seeing Nick Fury come back post-snap, have nothing, have no intelligence, none of that stuff that made him so good, because Norman Osborn has all the resources now as the director of S.H.I.E.L.D., and he, or whoever, Roosevelt, whoever, someone evil's director of S.H.I.E.L.D., doing a lot of terrible shit, and Nick Fury has to come back and claim S.H.I.E.L.D. again and make S.H.I.E.L.D. operate, because he knows, yes, the world needs the Avengers, but before we can get that, the world needs a S.H.I.E.L.D., and I need to be the director of that S.H.I.E.L.D., like, or Maria Hill, whoever. But man, they fumbled, bro. They fumbled hard. And they need to do a huge course correction. And I think it's very possible. So don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share. Let me know your thoughts down below for the MCU. What you think of it. What would you change? What would you not change? Am I crazy? Who knows? Are you excited for Doomsday? Are you not? Let me know. See you in the next one. Don't forget to keep geeking out. Again, Merry Christmas. Happy Holidays. Peace.